Talking with the Experts.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. My name's Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com, and Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners, and you can find it on SoundCloud and on YouTube. And today I'm pleased to have on the program Pat Sullivan, and Pat is going to speak to us about team building. And Pat is a 44-year veteran of basketball coaching, 10 years at the high school level and 34 years at the collegiate level. His teams have won 602 games, and he has been named Coach of the Year 11 times. Wow, that's amazing. He has been inducted into 8 Halls of Fame and received Lifetime Achievement Awards from the Lewis University, the Joliet, the Illinois Chamber of Commerce, and the Illinois Basketball Coaches Association. The Recreation Center at the University of St. Francis is actually named the Pat Sullivan Center. What an honor. Pat is the author of 2 books, Attitude, the Cornerstone of Leadership, and Team Building, From the Bench to the Boardroom. Welcome, Pat, and thank you for joining me.
I'm honored to be here, Rose.
Yeah, we were just talking earlier about team building and your very impressive resume as a coach. And I'm sure that, you know, what you've learned as a coach in sports teams can also transfer to being a team builder and leader in business. So tell me a little bit firstly about your book, Attitude, the Cornerstone of Leadership. What is that book actually about? I mean, I know the title speaks for itself, but what is attitude? What is attitude and a cornerstone to a leadership?
Well, what we did, Rose, in that book, I used the word attitude as an acronym, and I gave each letter of the word a characteristic that would make for a quality leader. So we ended up with 8 characteristics. The first, of course, was attitude, and does one person's attitude make a difference? Then we went in terms of leadership to teamwork, toughness, tough-mindedness, intelligence, and I had a different perspective on that because there we talked about listening and persevering with your core values. And then we went with the letter U, stood for the word you, and then we got to determination and effort. So we took those characteristics and then we wrote about each one, hoping that there could be some insights that might help leaders.
Well, that sounds really intriguing. Is it available on Amazon or anywhere else?
It is on Amazon, yes.
Perfect. Okay. And what about the second one? Team building from the bench to the boardroom. What was the idea behind that one?
I ended up having a number of speaking engagements, Rose, after we did the book on attitude. And a number of those were to businesses. Obviously, that's not my area. My area is athletics. But when I did team building from the bench to the boardroom, what we did, we took 20 characteristics that we thought were important in building a team in athletics. I then researched business literature, and I'm sure you know what I found. Those 20 characteristics that would work in building an athletic team flow flawlessly into building a team in business. Same concepts.
Yep, absolutely. So tell me some of the 20 concepts that you came up with and how they're transferable.
Well, the first, which I think probably is the most important of the 20, is caring. I think when you're building a team, the team has to know that you genuinely care about their welfare beyond the narrow confines of a classroom, a basketball court, or a workplace. And I love the expression from John Maxwell. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So that was the first one. And then we gave examples both from the athletic world in the business world of why caring is so important.
Yeah. And the next one?
The next one was knowledge. And I believe this, that knowledge generates respect. Whatever field you're in, I think you have to learn as much as you possibly can about that business, about that sport, if you're teaching a sport. And then those whom you're trying to build your team with, you're going to get innate respect because they know that you have studied your field.
Yeah.
And then the third one, Rose, we played right off that, we segued right into this. Continuous learning. It's not enough to have knowledge. You have to be a lifelong learner in whatever team effort that you're leading. So I don't think we ever stop learning, and that is so critical.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think if you stop learning, you might as well just sort of die in a hole somewhere, because honestly, life is meant to be lived, and if you're not learning something while you're living, you might as well just not be here.
I couldn't agree more. And then we actually took it to this point that lifelong learning leads to wisdom. Yes. So where knowledge leads to respect, when you continue to learn, I think that people very well may respect you for your wisdom.
Yeah, you can be learned, though, and still not be very wise. I worked in a government agency here in Australia, and we had a university graduate work for us, and he was like, came with great qualifications, but, really couldn't do the most mundane of tasks because, he was not wise in that way. He was wise in what he knew and what he'd learned at university, but he wasn't wise in just the grassroots work. And they used to try our patients to no end, because we'd have to just try to keep explaining. So being learned, I do believe, doesn't necessarily make you wise.
I would agree with that, and I'll take it from the other side. You can be very wise without learning, not learning, but being learned, without education. And I've always said this, Rose, for 34 years, I work with many doctorates, right? The highest degree that people can get. And my dad had a 6th grade education. He had a 6th grade education because he grew up during the Depression, and it was more important that he go to work to help bring food to the table. And I've always said this, and I mean it sincerely, validating your point, that I still haven't met the doctorate with my dad's wisdom.
No, you can still be wise and have no education, but and it's the same. You can be learned and not be wise. So it can go both ways. So what's after wisdom? What comes after wisdom?
Then we came with something which I think all of us go through: failure. And I think it's important to discuss how might we meet failure, because almost all of us are going to meet it. And we like to say this, Rose, it's a little different, that you want to develop a very strong FQ. And FQ stands for failure quotient. That you're going to get knocked down. How did a famous basketball coach administrator said it this way: success is getting up one more time than you've been knocked down.
Yeah.
And so we think developing that kind of resiliency is so important. And in our country, a lot of people would say that Abraham Lincoln may have been the best president we ever had, who took us through the Civil War. If you look at his political record, before he was elected president, he had many more losses in politics than he did victories. But he had a strong FQ and he kept going.
Yeah. And resilience, I think, in business is one of those qualities that you have to have. I think, if you're a solopreneur or you're a team builder, you've got to have that resilience behind you, because if you don't, then you might as well again just give up. And
yes,
and if you shouldn't be in business if you just want to give up. That's silly.
And Winston Churchill said it this way, that success is going through failure after failure and not losing your enthusiasm.
That's
so
it.
We're going to fail. And when we fail, the key is not so much the failure as the reaction to the failure.
Yes.
And the stronger you can build that FQ, you're going to be able to deal with it.
So I believe there's no such thing as a failure. It's just a lesson. I don't think you can actually fail at anything if you don't give up. If you get back up on the horse, so to speak, it's just a lesson that you've learned, and then you've learned something so you don't make that same mistake again.
And I forget who said it this way, but failure is a stepping stone to success.
Yeah, it's very true. It is.
And it very well can be.
Yes. So what's the next one after that?
Then we went the opposite, success. And probably one of the greatest, this was written by that great author, Mr. Anonymous, but he said this about success that I really like. Success is never owned. It's only rented, and the rent is due every day. So I think it's important for all of us, when we do experience some success, that's wonderful. That's great. But we can't sit on our laurels. We still have to bring that work ethic that got us to that point every day. And then I think this, Rose, I have run into some people, unfortunately, who once they're successful, it leads to arrogance. And that, I think, is going to be, and should be, their Achilles heel.
Yes.
Yes.
I agree. We have political leaders like that. I won't name them, but
so do we.
And success, if you're a leader, should be shared with your team. I mean, if you've got a small win for the business, don't leave it and keep it secret. Share it with your team, because obviously the team's helped in that success.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. So then we moved to something I think you'd like, humor. When you're building a team, you can't be all rah-rah and get after it and all that. And I always felt this about humor. Humor dissipates pressure. So when there's pressure, if humor is part of your team building philosophy, then I think this too. You build camaraderie. And when the tough times come, and even if you make a mistake, your team will tend to, I think, stick with you because they like the way you operate.
Yeah, and they can see the bright side of something. I mean, if you can always look at the bright side of a bad situation and bring some form of humor to it, then it's not as dark as it first appears.
Yes. How was that? Rose Kennedy, John F. Kennedy's mom, had said, after the storm, and she sure had a lot of them with the assassinations, but after the storm, the birds always sing.
Yes, exactly right. Yes.
Isn't that good? But it's tough. It's tough when you're going through it.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
But
I think you...
Sorry, go on. It's my turn. Sorry, your turn. I shouldn't be interrupting.
Oh, no, don't be silly. Then this one would be right up there to me with caring. Then we talked about listening. And there was a study once done of CEOs that they asked them, well, how do you spend your day? And their answer was, after all the research, it came out to 10% of the time writing, 15% of the time reading, 30% of the time speaking, but almost half, 45% of their time listening. And again, listening like knowledge is respect. When I listen to you, I'm respecting you and whatever position you may take, no matter how different it is from mine. I am going to listen.
Yeah, I'm terribly. I've got this idea in my head, and I have to like put it out there straight away.
Yeah, we all do. Yeah. Well, my daughter Colleen, I never knew she did this. She is a hedge fund lawyer in the city of Chicago. So obviously, in that particular industry, there's a lot of money on the table. So when Colleen has to come in and maybe negotiate a contract between two people, she had better be listening because there's an awful lot at stake. And every day when she opens up her computer, she sees this statement: I won't learn anything today by talking, but I will learn today by listening.
Yes.
So
I totally agree. Yes.
Isn't it? Yeah, me too. I never knew she did that. But that's, I think listening is extremely important in building any team. You know, and I don't know how you would feel about this, but I think a reason you always listen to your team members is you never know who's going to have the best idea.
That's right. And also, you don't know what anyone else is going through either. They could be having, some challenge with within the organisation, within the team, something maybe the coach or the boss is not doing properly. And, if you're not there for them, then how are you going to know that there's an issue?
Which takes us right back to caring, does it not?
It does, yes.
Yeah, you got to care about your people. And even from a technical viewpoint, I had 3 assistants in basketball. So if I count myself, now there's 4 of us. Not disparaging the one fella, but he had the least experience. And he was the least knowledgeable among us 4. We had to beat a certain team, Rose, in order to get to the national tournament. And that particular team had the best offense that I'd ever coached against. Well, the one with the least experience, out of the clear blue, came with an idea that I never would have thought of. I never would have thought of it. And at first I thought, that idea isn't going to work. Then I went home that night and I thought about it. And I thought, you know what? He very well might be right.
Mm.
We did it. We implemented it. And if I had to pick one reason why we got to the national tournament, it would be what he gave us.
Yeah, it happens, It's like out of the mouth of babes, you get this puzzle, those puzzles that you get and they, seem really hard to do. And you give it to a child and they've got it pulled apart and put back together again before you can even think about it. And, and we think, well, how did they do that? It's like they've got some concept or some idea of how to do something that's different and thinking outside the square.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think, again, I'll get back to the word respect. When you do listen, you really are giving respect. And that's critical.
It is. It is.
The next thing we got to, Rose, if you'd like, which I move to the next one.
Yeah.
Or,
Okay.
okay.
Sure.
Discipline.
Oh, yes.
And again, I don't think you have to have a whip and get on people all the time at all. That's not going to take you anywhere. But at the same time, from my classroom teaching at the high school level, the collegiate level, from my coaching, if there is not discipline in a classroom, or if there's not discipline in the athletic arena, I don't know how you ever teach. I don't know how you ever teach. And I like I say, I think that you certainly, you love people, no question about that. But maybe part of love is the tough love at times and disciplining them.
Yes. Yeah, I think there's too many politically correct people in the world now, and I think they've taken away the ability to. I'm not saying people just need to show discipline in the things that they do. So if they make choices, they have to be able to live with those choices, because it's a consequence. It's choices and consequences, and they need to understand that there are consequences to their actions. And they need to be made aware that, that there are. And unfortunately, that's not the case these days.
Yeah. And again, the next one kind of segues off that. I believe that everyone in business, okay, is first a teacher and then a coach. So I've got down teacher, coach. Whatever your business is, obviously, it's your job to teach the people who are working for you everything you know about the business. Because when they're out representing your company, they've got to be knowledgeable. And then they're going to make mistakes, like we all do. And you have to coach them then through the mistakes. So I really think, we should never denigrate and not that people do, but the profession of teaching nor coaching, because in teaching and coaching, we're all doing it.
Mm. Yeah, in some way or other. Yeah, we are. Whether it's our children or ourselves or our spouse or whoever. Yeah, we are.
Yes. And I've worked with people, and I really love this phrase, who would say when something would come up, maybe something rough, this is a teachable moment. Because it was a difficulty. This is a teachable moment for us with our children to teach them why we want to avoid this.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I don't want to get too far into your book because I want people to go and buy it. So we'll just leave it there, Pat. And thank you. It's been really insightful, and I've really enjoyed speaking with you. You're a very knowledgeable man, and I can see the how you can assimilate coaching a team to teamwork in a business. So it's been a great discussion, and I've really enjoyed it.
Well, I hope an idea or two will resonate with some of your listeners. Rose.
I'm sure it will.
But
now,
thank you.
Anything else? Have you got another book coming out anytime?
I'm thinking about one, but that one would be more technical with basketball.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Strictly for basketball people. Yeah.
That's all right. We'll get people to buy it anyway.
Rose, I like your attitude.
All right, Pat. Thank you so much, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, and thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.